Welcome to Daniel Reviews. I'm Daniel Goodwin, and today we're looking at a number of things. First, I'm going to open up this Ridgid inflator that I purchased. As you know, or might know, I am heavily invested in the Makita brand of batteries. I purchased into Makita probably about 12 years ago. I still have every single Makita tool that I purchased. Every single one of them still works perfectly. The batteries that I purchased still work perfectly. I've really not had any issues with the Makita lineup. It's a top quality lineup. I would recommend it to anyone. But I will be the first to admit there's been a number of tools that I wish Makita made their own version of. This is not necessarily one of them, but over the years I've watched Ridgid come out with a nailer, a framing nailer. I've seen Milwaukee come out with a nice framing nailer. I think DeWalt has one as well now, and Makita has not, as you probably know. And it's been very frustrating to see Makita kind of drag their feet on some things that are really, I think, useful tools that we should have in our toolbox. Even just a finishing nailer. Makita has just one, an 18 volt, 18 gauge finishing nailer. I have it. It's fine. It's not the best nailer I've ever used. And then they have they just released one for the XGT lineup, the 40 volt lineup. But overall, they're pretty weak on that side, and other manufacturers have kind of leapfrogged ahead of them. So I'm very disappointed that that they haven't gotten better, basically. And I got tired of waiting on them on some things, and thankfully I don't have to wait any longer because I bought one of these. Thanks to ingenious people on the interweb, this is a simple adapter that allows me to run my Makita 5 amp hour 18 volt batteries on the Ridgid lineup. Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? I got power. All right, let's go a little deeper. So as I mentioned, I'm heavily invested in the Makita lineup. I will continue to purchase Makita tools, but there are gaps in the lineup, and I'm tired of missing out on those gaps, and I don't want to buy another battery system and try to juggle tons of different chargers and different batteries and trying to remember what's what. So I instead have opted to purchase this adapter unit. Let's see if I can, yeah, let's just take that out. So you can see how the adapter works. It's pretty straightforward. It slides into the Ridgid system. The Makita battery slides into the bottom, and it allows some communication between the two. It does have a battery gauge. It does agree. Hold that down. Fantastic. That's exactly what I wanted. And the reason I purchased this Ridgid inflator was because I do have a Makita inflator, and this is the only Makita tool where I've experienced any issues with it. But at some point recently, it stopped allowing me to adjust the PSI. You have these two tap buttons on the Makita model, and I'll show that. And they stopped allowing me to adjust downward. It's like the button is broken, so I was very disappointed in that. In this, I really like this style on the Ridgid inflator. That's very nice. Very smooth action, and it's very easy to adjust to what you want. Very cool. Look at that. And then you just hit it, and it kicks on like that. That's something. I'll have to get into that a little bit but you've got, with this, I'm going to do a quick review of this thing. You've got a quick needle and adapter, which makes sense. Let's see how this works. Kind of feel, yeah, that's what I thought. There you go. So you just slide it in, have the slip ring come up, bam, now you got that in. You just let it out. That's not bad. Yeah, okay. Cool. So I think this would, I believe this would just slip right on like your typical the tires on your truck or van or car or whatever, I believe would just slip on there. I'll double check that and we'll show it. And then you can set the PSI to what you need it to be. I don't know if you can see this. Set it to, you know, 40 PSI, hit the button, bam, away it goes. I like this. This is nice. It's not quite as small as the Makita, but it's very well made. Got a nice, feels like a rubber handle. Feels pretty solid. I don't think it would have too much damage if I dropped it, which is good, because I am clumsy. Let's see if we can get these pieces back in there. Yeah, just like that. That's great. And then it even has little things on the side to wrap the braid. So fantastic. I picked this inflator up for, I think it was $30 as a factory reconditioned, and this is a very good quality tool. So I didn't get this adapter just for this reason. I got their framing nailer, which I'll do a review on separately. But the big thing that I wanted to bring out is that it is possible to get these adapters and not have to buy into a completely different battery set. Okay, so that's cool. We've got a Ridgid to Makita adapter. That's nice. What about the other line, tool brands? What about Milwaukee? Glad you asked. Yeah, they make those too. I picked up this Milwaukee back tank sprayer last year because I have a invasive weed problem in my backyard, and I was tired of trying to work the manual pumps. I wanted something that was a nice sprayer. At the time, Makita did not have anything as a sprayer. Now they've since come out with a portable sprayer that uses an 18-volt battery, and it's probably nice. It's still not quite as nice as this 4-gallon Milwaukee tank spreader. This thing is really good, and I'll do a review on it at some point. But the problem was, it's, you know, I'm a Makita lineup, right? So I don't have Milwaukee batteries. No problem. Let me just... And we're back. I forgot how these work. There's a... I'll get you a closer look at this. We'll set this out of the way for now. Here is the Makita-to-Milkwaukee adapter. It's a bit bulkier than the Ridgid one. It's got this higher ridge, but that's fine. The difference was I was trying to look for something similar to the Ridgid, but the Milwaukee adapter has these things that you squeeze here on the top. I couldn't find it, but it works the same way. It just slides in there. I'm just going to give you a close-up of the two adapters. This is the Makita-to-Milkwaukee adapter because it has this ridge. These little buttons are how you release it from the Milwaukee tool. It does not have any kind of a battery gauge. It's a very basic adapter. This one is the Makita-to-Ridgid adapter, and you can see it does have this little battery gauge. Probably would be useful if you aren't using some of the most recent Makita batteries that have their own integrated battery gauge. If you had the old school, actually, I think I have one. Hang on a second. No, I don't have the old school Makita batteries without the battery gauge, but I do have some knockoff Chinese lithium ion batteries that I purchased off of Amazon probably 7 or 8 years ago, and I'm still using them. They're still going strong. They still work just fine, but they don't have a battery gauge. So something like this adapter may actually be, yeah, useful. So it can tell me how much battery charge. This is a freshly charged battery, so it should be at full. So that's kind of a neat feature. I don't think it's anything extra, but it's nice. One thing that is pretty cool with the Ridgid inflator that I picked up is it comes with this car battery adapter, which is really cool. You would just plug this obviously into your car, and then on the bottom of the Ridgid you've got this plug. So even if you didn't have the battery or the battery died, you still could power this in your vehicle. That's a really cool feature, which is, again, just one of the reasons why I like these other manufacturers, because they come up with some really great ideas, and I want to take advantage of those ideas and not be waiting on Makita to catch up. So this adapter is well worth it. It's like $15 to $20. and now I can use any tool in the Ridgid lineup with my Makita batteries. That's awesome. Otherwise, this works great. You can see it makes a pretty tall profile, so the downside would be if you have a Milwaukee tool that does not give you clearance for this much room, then you might not be able to slide this in, and this is only a 5 amp hour battery. But for most of Milwaukee's tools that I'm familiar with, this won't be an issue. It wasn't an issue on this tankless sprayer, and any of the ones that I want to pick up, this will work just fine. So we've got a Ridgid adapter, we've got a Milwaukee adapter. Do they make a DeWalt one? You bet they do. And they make a Ryobi. I'm sorry, I can't really recommend that. And no offense if you're a Ryobi fan, but I would not buy a Ryobi tool. Yeah. To answer the question, yeah, there's a Ryobi adapter. There's a, I believe there's a Hitachi / now Metabo adapter. But for me, the tools that I want to fill out the gaps in the Makita lineup are either Ridgid, Milwaukee, or DeWalt. There's really only one DeWalt tool that I'm interested in. So I will link to the where I got each of these adapters, and also probably add the DeWalt one. It's absolutely worth the money, I think. You can use your existing battery setup, and I should go vice versa. There's DeWalt to Makita adapters and Milwaukee to Makita adapters. So there's really no reason to stay locked into one product lineup when you can run them all off the same battery setup. I say definitely, absolutely pick these up, add them to your list, then pick up the tool you want. No need to be missing out or looking from the outside. All right, thanks.